Okay, so let's set the scene. Long before Google, the early World Wide Web was, well, it was a total mess, right? A digital Wild West. Finding information was tough, but finding the best information? That felt pretty much impossible. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a foundational paper by Jon Kleinberg that discovered a hidden order in all that chaos, a structure that really changed how we see the internet forever. So this gets right to the heart of the problem Kleinberg was tackling. Think about it. You search for a broad topic, and you get thousands, maybe millions of pages that are kind of relevant. But how in the world do you find the page? The definitive one, the one everyone agrees is the real authority. This was the massive challenge for the early web.
And this is such a great way to frame it. The problem wasn't scarcity. It wasn't about finding a needle in a haystack. No, the whole haystack was made of needles. For any big topic, the real trick was figuring out how to pick the single most important page from this mountain of perfectly relevant ones.
So back then, search engines were, well, they were pretty simple. They basically had one trick, counting how many times your search term showed up on a page. But for these big, broad topics, that simple approach didn't just fall short, it completely fell apart. And that created a huge dilemma.
The paper uses a perfect example to show why. Let's say you're looking for automobile manufacturers. You obviously want Honda's official site to show up, right? But think about it. Is Honda's homepage going to say, "We are an automobile manufacturer"? Of course not. Why would it? And that right there shows the huge flaw in just matching text. The very best sources often don't need to spell out what they are.
Okay, so if just looking at the words on a page is a dead end, what's next? Well, Kleinberg had this breakthrough moment. He realized the answer was already there, hidden in the very structure of the web itself, the hyperlinks. He saw that it wasn't about the sheer number of links, but the pattern of links between pages. And this is what led to his huge idea, hubs and authority.
All right, first up, what's an authority? This is our target. This is the page we're trying to find. An authority is basically a page that's widely seen as a premier, trustworthy source on a specific subject. Think of the official homepage for a big company, a university, or a major organization.
So, how do you actually find these authorities? Well, that's where hubs come into play. A hub page isn't an authority itself. Instead, it's like a really good curated list. It's a page that some enthusiast or expert put together, and its job is to point you to all the best authorities on that topic. Yeah, this picture just nails the concept. Look on the left. You see this whole community of pages, the hubs, and they're all pointing to the same few authority pages. It's a focused endorsement. Now, look at the right. That page is popular, sure, it's getting links from all over the place, but there's no theme, no focus. So the big takeaway here is that real authority comes from this kind of recommendation from a dedicated community.
And this is where it gets really cool and elegant. It's this self-reinforcing relationship. Think about it. What makes a page a good hub? Well, it points to lots of great authorities. And what makes a page a great authority? Well, it gets pointed to by lots of great hubs. See? It's this beautiful feedback loop. And Kleinberg figured out how to use math to make sense of it all.
Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? Here's the high-level view. First, you do a normal old-school text search. That gives you what's called a root set, maybe the top 200 pages. Now, these pages are relevant, but the best authorities probably aren't even in there. So next, you expand that into a much bigger base set by grabbing all the pages that link to your root set and all the pages your root set links out to. This builds a little focused neighborhood of the web. And that's where the magic happens. The final step where you just iterate, calculating those hub and authority scores over and over.
This visual really helps explain that expansion step. That little root set in the middle, that's just our starting point. Then by following all the links going in and out, we build that much, much bigger base set. And why is this so important? Because the real authority page we're looking for might not have been in our first 200 results, but it's almost guaranteed to be linked to by one of them. You have to cast a wider net to find the big fish.
Okay, now for the cool iterative part. Every page in our base set gets 2 scores. First, its authority score. And it's simple. A page's authority score is just the sum of the hub scores of all the pages pointing at it. Basically, you gain authority if you're endorsed by pages that are great hubs.
And then you do the flip side. You update the hub score. A page's hub score is the sum of the authority scores of all the pages it points out to. So you prove you're a good hub by pointing to important authorities. The algorithm just goes back and forth between these two rules until the scores stabilize, and boom, the top hubs and authorities just pop right out. All right, so the theory is super elegant. It's beautiful. But did it actually work? I mean, for real. Kleinberg ran it on a bunch of different searches, and the results, well, they were honestly pretty mind-blowing for the time.
Let's take a look. For the search engines. I mean, just look at this list. For anyone who was on the web back then, this is a who's who. Yahoo, Excite, Lycos, AltaVista, it's a perfect roll call. The algorithm nailed it, identifying all the major players just by looking at the links.
Okay, what about something a little more abstract, like censorship? Again, look at what it found. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, the Center for Democracy and Technology, the ACLU. These are the exact organizations you would hope to find, the heavy hitters. It just worked.
And this right here is the killer point. So many of these top results, like Yahoo's homepage, didn't even have the words search engines on them. A simple text search would have completely missed them. This was the ultimate proof that analyzing the web's link structure wasn't just a neat trick. It uncovered a whole deeper layer of meaning and authority.
But wait, there was more. The algorithm had another incredible trick up its sleeve. It turned out it could do more than just find the single best set of authorities. It could actually untangle different online communities that were all hiding inside a single ambiguous search term.
So what happens when you search for a word that could mean a bunch of different things? Let's use their example. Jaguar. I mean, what are we even talking about here? The car? The animal? The NFL team? Or maybe, for the old school gamers out there, the Atari Jaguar video game console? And get this, it's just amazing. The algorithm didn't confuse at all. It automatically found and perfectly separated the three main communities that were talking about Jaguar on the web. It found one community for the video game, another for the football team, and a third for the car. It did that by finding three totally separate sets of hubs and authorities, each one tightly knit and talking amongst themselves.
This quote from Kleinberg himself just sums it all up perfectly. Hyperlinks encode a considerable amount of latent human judgment. Every time someone creates a link, they're making a choice. They are casting a little vote. It's a human endorsement. And when you add up millions and millions of those votes, you get something incredibly powerful.
So in the end, what this work really showed us is that the web was never just a random jumble of pages. The links we make aren't just for getting from point A to point B. They are endorsements. They're little breadcrumbs of human judgment that, altogether, map out the hidden order of the web. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden structures are we building right now with every single click, post, and connection we make online?